We will start our Bhagavatam class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Kunja Bihari
Jaya Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari
Kunjana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Prasadanandana Pradana Ranjana
Sudanandana Vrajana Ranjana
Jamuna Tera Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Ayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Prasadanandana Vrajana Ranjana Jamuna Tera Vanachari Jaya Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivrajakacarya Stotra Sasya Srimad Bhagavatam Sabhacharanaranda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jaya Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivrajakacarya Stotra Sasya Srimad Bhagavatam Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai Shri Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Pramanande Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 4, The Appearance of Sri Narada, Text 3. Kasmin yuge prabhruteyam
Kasmin yuge prabhutyayam
Sthane vakena hetuna
Ame vakena
Utaha sanchoditaha Krishnaha
Sanjodita Krishna
Prutavan samhitamani Kasmin yuge prabhruteyam
Kasmin yuge prabhutyayam
Sthane vakena hetuna
Ame vakena
Utaha sanchoditaha Krishnaha
Sanjodita Krishna
Prutavan samhitamani
Samhitamani
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki. In what period and at what place was this first begun? Why was this taken up? From where did Kṛṣṇa-dvaipāyana Vyāsa, the great says, get the inspiration to compile this literature? Because Srimad Bhagavatam is a special contribution of Srila Vyasadeva, there are so many inquiries by the learned Saunaka Muni. It was known to them that Srila Vyasadeva had already explained the text of Vedas in various ways to the Mahabharata for the understanding of less intelligent women, Sudras and fallen members of family of twice born men. Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental to all of them because it has nothing to do with anything mundane, so the inquiries are very intelligent and relevant. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nikhidamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Guru Vani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschyata Destarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Svasri Gaur Bhatta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Dear devotees, Vedas inform us how do we operate such that we can follow four purushartha: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Vedas mostly dealt how if we don't have rain, we can bring rain. If we have famine, how to eradicate it. When we have certain material tribulations, how to get over it. How we can please the demigods such that the necessities of lives are completely without any hindrance can be acquired, and so forth. This is Veda. Most of the Vedas. Vedas hardly talk about the nature of the absolute truth, the basic building block of the universe, although there are some reference in the Upanishads. However, the complete spiritual dynamics that exist in the eternal realm has been revealed for the first time in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam and all other literature, they are of two distinct quality. In one, we completely dwell in transcendence, and the other, we are concerned about our material welfare. Obviously, the question that is being asked by Saunaka rishi and his friends, that they are not interested in any material welfare, they are interested in the spiritual welfare of everyone. Srila Prabhupada used to tell, no material problem has a solution. No material problem has a material solution. Ultimately, solution to all problem is Krishna consciousness. Because you cannot solve any material problem. One problem will be replaced by another problem. You see the history, recent history, no problem has been solved. Only thing, a specific problem was replaced by another problem. Okay? And not only that, with all kind of so-called advancement in science and technology, still we are stuck with the same age-old problem of food security and food safety. In fact, food security and food safety is more relevant now than previously. At least earlier people were getting good water to drink, good food to eat, good air to breathe. Even now these are all have become dream. Anybody who would like to live in metropolis in India, then they have to sacrifice even their healthy life. You cannot live healthily. So, anyway, this is the the Kaliyuga. In Kaliyuga, people will be hardly interested in spiritual life. And one may ask this question, why then Bhagavatam has been emphasized? So this particular point will be discussed in chapter 4, 5 and 6. These three chapters will tell us what is the importance of Srimad Bhagavatam. In Kali Yuga, as such people are not interested in Dharma, Artha, Kshama, Moksha. If so, how they will be interested in complete science of divinity? So this is something that we need to answer. And we will be hearing this. I know the answer, but I don't want to give the answer just on a platter. You have to hear all these verses. And then one day I will ask you the question. Please tell me, what is the answer that although Kali Yuga people are most unintelligent, they have no interest in even Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So how we can tell them to practice pure Krishna consciousness, which is looks counterintuitive, but this is what Naradji would teach Vyasadeva. Okay. So first question they asked, where did it all begin? So it began when Vyasadeva finished compiling all literature and he was still feeling unhappy. That means he has given all Vedas, not only 4 principal Vedas in the form of Yajurveda, Samveda, Rig Veda and Atharva Veda. He also has given us Dhanurveda, Ayurveda, Jyotirveda, some varieties of Vedas. Veda means the body of knowledge. Vid means to know. Veda means that which is knowable, which we can know. So that is Veda. And this Veda was given to all of us. Nowadays, nobody is interested in Vedas, right? So now let us go further. Tasya putro mahayogi samadrun nirvikalpaka ekanta mati runni dudro gudo muda isyate iveyate. His son, Vyasadeva's son, was a great devotee, an equibalanced monist, whose mind was always concentrated in monism. He was transcendental to mundane activities, but being unexposed, appeared like an ignorant person. So, Saunaka rishi and his friends are talking about what was the need for Shukadev, who was already transcendentally pure. He has to study the Shastra consisting of 18,000 verses. Why has to waste his time? Is it a waste or it is a good use of his time? So they wanted to know that Sukhdev Goswami, who was already liberated from the very birth. Rarely you will find people who are liberated from the very birth. And Sukhdev Goswami was one of them. And they were asking this question about Sukhdev Goswami. Srila Prabhupada says in purport, Srila Sukhdev Goswami was a liberated soul. Thus he remained always alert not to be trapped by the illusory energy. In Bhagavad Gita, this alertness is very lucidly explained. The liberated soul and the conditioned soul have different engagement. Liberated soul is always engaged in progressive path of spiritual enlightenment. which is something like a dream for conditioned soul. So, if you look at in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, I think 59th verse probably, let me check it here. Uh,
2.69. 69.
69. Yeah. Yanisha sarvabhutanam tasyam jagarti sanyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sanisha pasyuto mune. So this particular verse talks about जो सब जीवों के लिए रात्रि है वह आत्म संयमी के जागने का समय है, और जो समस्त जीवों की जागने का समय है वो आत्म निरीक्षक मुनि के लिए रात्रि है. यानी कि those who are very much conscientious about their spiritual welfare, they will not take part in those activities that will cover our consciousness in ignorance. Like yesterday we were hearing Prabhupada lecture, and we saw that the real anartha that we have is our association with mode of ignorance and mode of passion. So obviously a yogi, why? Knowingly he will associate with that which is mode of passion and mode of ignorance. And currently all university education system are absolutely in mode of ignorance and mode of passion. And let me tell you, the current university system has not done any good to the society in general. So that is why there is a great need to make a complete sea change in our education, in our education policy, such that the children, students are engaged in mode of goodness. We have very limited ambience of mode of goodness within the domain of education. People don't understand what is goodness. And when you do not know what is goodness, there is no way you can ever be interested in spiritual life. Once we had a spiritual trip to Jaipur, not Jaipur, Rajasthan. And during that trip, we were at some point of time Sabai Madhapur, our great Pawan Goel's hometown. So we visited his school. I can't believe that somebody could study in such a school. That school, the ambience was completely in mode of ignorance. And our Pawan Goel studied there, and sucking. Of course, that school became very glorious because it organized a program, and we spoke on Bhagavad Gita on that very day. That is why some credit must be given to that school for this reason. But how can people study? You have just a building. There is no space for air to come. And where is, when we studied in our schools, we had lot of gardening. We'd have lot of free space. We were able to breathe nice fresh air. And what is this? I saw. So this is very, very unfortunate part of our present education system. People do not really realize that mode of goodness is a right of every kid. Every kid must be exposed to mode of goodness. And there are millions and millions of kids, we are slaughtering them by permanently keeping them in ignorance and passion. Hardly passion, but mostly ignorance. And this is the greatest tyranny this current civilization is doing to our kids. So please try to understand that what is meaning of mode of goodness. If you have opened a school and their children don't get up early morning, they don't practice a spiritual life, they don't memorize the Bhagavad Gita verses, there is no combined sloka recitation in the early morning, there is no chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. There is no greeting of deities in the early morning. So where is the mode of goodness? And without mode of goodness, we are simply slaughtering our children. Prabhupada used to tell that present day education system is actually they are all slaughterhouses, because once we subject people into ignorance and passion, they are finished. And where I was in did I finish the purport? Eh? Where? Did I read the purport?
Like a dream for the conditioned soul.
Okay, the conditioned soul cannot imagine the actual engagement of the liberated soul. There I actually talked about the verse Bhagavad Gita 2.69, where it says that that which is night for self-awakening soul is the day for ignorance, and that which is day for ignorance is that which is night for ignorance is for time of awakening for liberated soul, or those who are searching or seeking the truth. So this is exactly is being told here. The conditioned soul cannot imagine the actual engagement of liberated soul. What a liberated soul is looking for. He is going deeper into his consciousness, and he is purging out all that he is not, and he is cultivating all that has his own nature. Similarly, the engagement of a conditioned soul appears to be a dream for liberated soul. A conditioned soul and a liberated soul may apparently be on the same platform, but factually they are differently engaged. We may be, devotee and normal people may be involved similar thing, because we also cook, but we cook for Krishna. Our consciousness is completely different. And normal people are also cooking, but they are cooking papa. We are cooking bhoga for Krishna. And when Krishna enjoys the bhoga, that becomes prasada. And when the others they cook, they are verily cooking sin. And when they distributed that, everybody becomes poisoned. Really different. The conditioned soul is absorbed in matter, whereas the liberated soul is completely indifferent to matter. This difference is explained as follows. So, Sukhdev Goswami was completely liberated. He also became attracted to Srimad Bhagavatam. All of you know that when Sukhdev Goswami was born, when he came out from mother's womb, he started walking. And Vyasa thought, my son is actually trying to walk. But suddenly he realized he has vanished into the jungle. And you see that in Badrinath, it doesn't take much time to get lost in the jungle, because there are nothing except hills and jungles. And suddenly Vyasadeva realized what his son is doing and called out, Sukhdev, Sukhadev, Sukhadev. And the nearby hills, the trees, the rivers, the pond, the Ganga, everybody seemed to give a reply. But Sukadev was unmoved. And there is a description that Sukhdev Goswami, as he is going, because he was just born, although he was 16-year-old, but he was just born. And he was completely naked. And as he is progressing, he came across a pond where some girls are taking bath, and they are all naked in that pond. And although Sukhdev Goswami was 16-year-old, he crossed that place. They didn't feel the presence of some unwanted presence. They didn't feel that their privacy is being violated, because and then he is being followed by Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva is calling out, Sukadev. So when he's calling out Sukadev, he's coming, and he saw immediately these girls, they come out from the water and covered their body. And Vyasadeva was completely surprised. He said, I'm nicely covered, I'm an old man, and you are so conscientious about my presence, whereas you didn't react when my son, who is 16-year-old, passed by this place. They said, we saw your son, but he is Brahmabhuta platform. He doesn't make any distinction between a boy and girl. He has finished. He is beyond such a distinction. And the girls when gave that kind of answer and says, you are a grihastha and you make distinction between a boy and girl. So you can imagine who is the Sukhdev Goswami. And of course, Vyasadeva could not figure out where Sukhdev Goswami is lost. And then Vyasadeva made a plan. He called some of his disciples. And normally these disciples are well built. And in earlier days, when you have an ashram, one of the very important ingredients in ashram is the fuel. Because if you don't cook, everybody will remain hungry. So some people have to go to the jungle, cut woods and come bring them. So those, and normally those people must be well built and have good strength to cut that tree and load it and bring it. So obviously similar people who normally go to the jungle for cutting woods, Vyasadeva called them and said, you people go for cutting wood, bringing wood? Yes, Guru Maharaj, yes. And then Vyasadeva said, do you know that nowadays there are some disturbance in the jungle? And they were really surprised because they have not experienced any disturbance. And then this Vyasadeva said, no, I came to know that in the jungle now there are some, ghostly people wandering there. Ghostly people? That is shocking. We have not experienced such ghostly people, and you are saying there are some ghosts. So what is the solution, Guru Maharaj? Vyasa said, I have a solution. I have a solution. And then Vyasadeva made them to memorize verses from Srimad Bhagavatam and said, you see that whenever you see a ghost, you should recite these verses. Okay? And they asked how the ghost may look like. Oh, ghost would look like a naked fellow. He has no dress. He should be blackish, a shadow-like, and this is all a ghost should be. Ghost looks like that. We have never experienced Guru Maharaj. And we will take a note this time. And so these disciples of Vyasadeva remembered the verses from Srimad Bhagavatam that glorifies the fortune, good fortune of Putana, because although Putana came to kill Krishna, Krishna was so merciful, made Putana his eternal mother in the spiritual world. So Putana became eternal mother of Krishna, although she came with an intention to kill Krishna. So they memorized these verses and went to jungle one day for cutting wood, and suddenly they realized somebody is hanging from a branch of a big tree and jumping from one branch to another branch. What is this? And then they saw, exactly according to the description of Vyasadeva, a black person, blackish person, and naked. And they said, this must be a ghost. Yes, Guru Maharaj has told, this must be the ghost. And immediately they started chanting Bhagavatam verses. And Guru Maharaj has told them that the moment they would chant, the ghost would fly. But to their shocking, the ghost chased them. But then they had a faith in their Guru Maharaj. They chanted loudly. They chanted loudly and with full sincerity. The more intensity they increased, the ghost almost became very near to them. So giving up their wood and everything, these disciples of Vyasadeva ran towards the Samyaprasa ashram. But they are not stopping the chanting of Bhagavatam verses. And the ghost seemed so attracted to these Bhagavatam verses. Chased them. And there was a race competition. And at some point of time, the disciples of Vyasadeva thought that today they have the last day of their life. And somehow they finally reached the ashram and went to Vyasadeva's office and said, Guru Maharaj, your mantra today is a complete fail. And normally you don't fail. Everything that you say works. But today it has a fail. It has failed. How? No, that ghost has chased us and almost he's inside the campus, Guru Maharaj. You can go and see. And then Vyasadeva said, okay, fine. You go, you must be very hungry. Please go, take prasadam. I am going to deal with this ghost. And that is how Sukhdev Maharaj, who was Brahmabhuta Prasannatma, was enticed into the ashram of Vyasadeva in Samyaprasa, and Sukhdev Goswami would now learn the science of Bhagavatam. That means Sukhdev Goswami, who is completely liberated, he doesn't have to go through Veda, Upanishada, Aranyaka, Samhitas, Puranas, Itihasa, nothing. Sukhdev Goswami only studied one literature, and that is Bhagavatam. and he studied under the tutelage of Srila Vyasadeva, his own father. Okay, so this shows that Bhagavatam is meant for highest level of consciousness. If this is for highest level of consciousness, we are very impure. We are not even human being in this age of Kali, because we violate all regulative principles. We have no qualification. So the question is that how this Bhagavatam will be beneficial to all of us. So that is the question being asked. So I will take a break now, because I'll take a break of 2 minutes. You can put your question now. Also, you can play a bhajan, Prabhupada bhajan, Yashamati Nanda.
They come out the boy, Gurukul boys also joined.
Gurukul boys have joined? So,
Some questions are there.
So dear devotees, I just wanted to let you know that because I had told you that this Bhagavatam, or just now we realized that Bhagavatam is meant for the level of personalities like Sukhdev Goswami. Sukhdev Goswami, who is a pure soul, and such personalities can appreciate, understand, and rejoice Srimad Bhagavatam. So what about us? What is the answer? And that answer is actually given in Bhagavatam itself. And that answer is Atma Ramasya Munayo Nirgrantha Api Urukrame. Atma Ramasya Munayo Nirgrantha Api Urukrame. Kurbanti Ahaytukim Bhaktim Ittha Bhuto Guno Hari. Kurbanti Ahaytukim Bhaktim Ittho Bhuto Guno Hari. So this is the ultimate answer. Of course, we are going to hear why there are systematic answers. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave and explained this verse to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya in many ways. And then in 61 different ways, he again explained the same verse to Sanatana Goswami in Varanasi, Kasi. So what this verse is saying? This verse is saying, Atma Ramasya Munayo. Atma Rama. Atma Rama can refer those who are situated in divinity. Atma Rama also can refer to those who are situated in body, those who consider body to be the self. Atma Rama also can refer to those who dwell in their mind only. So Atma Rama can refer to all three. Okay. Munaya. Munaya also can refer. Mule taruna munaya patante Govinda damodara madhaveti. So there are munis, those who chant Krishna's name all the time. But then there are munis, Pantastu koti satavasara sampragamya vayu rathapi manoso muni pungavanam. Muni pungavanam. And these munis for hundreds of crores of years, they meditate on the transcendental nature of Krishna, but still they cannot have the vision of the tip of the toenail of Mahavishnu. And then there are munis, those who are Mayavadis. Aruya kutsrena param padam tato patanti yado anadruta jusmatangrai. And Nirgrantha. Nirgrantha. Nirgrantha means is very significant. Once in BI, Bhaktivedanta Institute, a few of us, Dasaraj Prabhu, myself, and some guests, we had a very, very 2 to 3 hour discussion on Nirgrantha. Devotees, when they sit together, they should not be talking nonsense. There should be a deeper level of introspection. One aspect of Nirgrantha is Vedas, as I told you in the beginning. Vedas are for Artha, Kama, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. That's all Veda. 4 purushartha. And Krishna is beyond Veda. Nirgrantha. This is one. But this is no more relevant in the kaliyuga now. Because nobody is studying Veda. People have no interest in any literature. Nirgrantha, they are not interested in any literature. Nirgrantha. Their literature is Sidney Sheldon, Hemingway, and blah, 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 blah. When I was studying in Ransa College. So for the first time I came out of my village school, my house. So in our house, I was a voracious reader. So I will get the books from the library. But when I went to Ravensa College, the students, there will be books that are sold in the street. 5 rupees, 2 rupees, novels, these big novels, cheap novels. And these novels are lousy things. And I have seen my friends used to purchase them and read it. These novels are all very cheap. A boy madly in love with girl. And that's all these novels are. I don't know whether these are still true. But in my time, these cheap Odia novels, people wrote and made a lot of money writing this. We had in Odisha, there are some Pratibha Roy and then Vibhuti Patnaik. They are expert in writing all these cheap novels. And they write cheap novels, but they are very high level cheap novels. Means they are even very low class. Their name I don't know, and every month they will release one book. Every month they will release one book. And they made a huge money, let me tell you. So Nirgrantha. So those days, because I was from Odisha and I studied in Ravensa College, so everybody is Odia, so they purchased these cheap Odia novels, right? And then when people study in engineering college, so they study now what? Cheap English novels. Cheap English novels. And there are plenty. And these English novels are even more horrific than. So Nirgrantha, people, they have no ability to read any grantha. Nirgrantha. Okay? So, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining that Atmarama, Munaya, Nirgrantha. If you combine all of them, then nothing is left now. They constitute the entire world. So all of them, if Urukrama, the pastimes of Krishna is described to them, who will not be attracted to Mahabharata? Tell me. Who will not be attracted to Mahabharata? If it is presented properly. I remember when I was studying in Arisi Rourkela, that time some Peter, a French actor, he made a very big news because he and his group, they performed on Mahabharata in French theater. You can go to the history. 1983, 82, 85, those days, France theater, they were performing Mahabharata. Okay? And I still remember when I landed in Germany, and next day, Heinz Mellenbein told me, oh, today in the town hall, there is a special program tomorrow. I'll come and I'll take you. Okay. And when I went with him in the town hall, this is a program from, and he told me there will be some Indian cultural program. I said, what is this Indian cultural program? And then I saw this is a Odia lady performing Odissi, and before the program started, she brought Jagannath. She brought Jagannath and kept in the front and started offering prayer to Jagannath. Right? So, so meaning, and these people, for me, she was doing a very third-rate Odissi dance from my standard, because I have seen in Ravensa College, okay, Sanjukta Panigrai, the doyen of Odissi, nobody even can come nearer to her. In front of us, she is performing in Ravensa College. Okay, and she gave 3-4 demo in Ravensa College. She would perform and then she would explain every action of dance sequence. Right? This is like sky high, and this is where it is. But kurbanti ahetukim bhakti. Anybody can perform bhakti if Krishna's pastimes, Urukrama, Krishna's pastimes are so beautiful. If you know how to present it, then everybody would be ready to hear about Krishna. How did Vamandev expand his leg? That leg, occupied the entire outer space. It's amazing how that happened. And not only that, tip of that toenail of that leg brought Ganga inside. Just think about it. And we can take that opportunity as we describe. We can describe the basic building block of the universe and so forth, the way people can appreciate. Everything can be spoken very nicely, wonderfully. This is kurbanti ahoitukim bhakti ittha bhuto gunahari. Krishna has unlimited qualities, and everyone will be attracted to some of these qualities. The only thing we have to do, we have to become an expert how to present these qualities to different audiences so that they will be attracted. They will be attracted. So in this age of Kali, you cannot make people to be attracted to flowery words of Vedas. Neither we have in Brahmanas capable to demonstrate the potency of Vedic hymns in bringing the rain whenever you want. So like that, there are things that we cannot do in this age of Kali. But the only thing that is going to work is Krishna's unlimited transcendental qualities. They are so endearing if they are presented properly. Everybody can be attracted to Krishna consciousness. Although Krishna consciousness is appreciated by the people at the level of Sukhdev Goswami, but anybody can be engaged in bhakti. Kurbanti Ahaitukim bhaktim. Ahaitukim. Yes, ahaitukim. Unmotivated, uninterrupted bhakti people can perform. So this is the answer. We are going to hear that answer also little later. I thought that I will not keep the suspense, because you will see that how Vyasadeva see, if the writer is not satisfied with his books, how can reader will be satisfied? This entire chapter 4 is about Vyasadeva is feeling despondent. He is dissatisfied. You write something and you are not satisfied. So then, how the readers will be satisfied? Okay. So Vyasadeva was completely satisfied when he compiled Bhagavatam. So there is only one literature that would satisfy all of us, beyond doubt, is Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so any question? Chiranjit Rai, what is difference between Vaishnava and Bhakt? No difference. Bhakta and Vaishnava are same. So Vaishnava, Sattvata, Bhakta, so all these are the same thing. Same thing. So does soul, when it comes out of gross body, sees through subtle body? I don't understand what is this question. Does soul, soul, your spelling is wrong, S-O-U-L. Soul, when it comes out of gross body, does soul sees through subtle body? I don't understand. Can you explain, Chiranjit, what you want to ask? Please explain that, and let me go to the next question. How do we, Piyush Sehgal, how do we understand the apparent mistake of composing Vedas and missing Srimad Bhagavatam by Vyasadeva, who is an incarnation of Lord himself? Is there a deeper reason why Lord inspired Vyasadeva to compose Vedas, Mahabharata, etc.? We also see that later all these Vedas propagated Karma Kanda as well as became a tool to propagate animal killing. You must know this. I have telling Vedas are meant for advocating for purushartha, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, and that is no more valid in the kaliyuga, because Kali will never allow. Kali would never allow dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Let me tell you very frankly, dharma, artha, kama, moksha will not work in this age of Kali. Kali is very powerful. Kali would only fear where there is Bhagavad Dharma. Only when Bhagavad Dharma is practiced, nourished in its purest form, Kali will run away miles and light years away. So this is a Lila to establish in the glory of Kali Yuga. Although other yugas, Vedas covered people from Bhagavatam. Vedas mostly engage people in less than Bhagavad Dharma. In Kali Yuga, the only way you can celebrate your human life is by taking pleasure in Bhagavatam. Next. Lust, anger, greed, envy, illusion keep on attacking. How to tackle it? They will attack my dear friend. Jai Sri Sri Lakshmi Narsingh Bhagwan ki Jai. Srila Giriraj Krishna ki. Sri Sri Radha Ramanju ki. Gau Pramanande Hari Hari Bol. Lust, anger, greed, envy, illusion, my dear friend, this is going to attack. That is why constantly develop this mode. Oh my dear Lord, I have nothing to do with this world. I want to relish Bhagavatam. So fill your daytime and night time, sleep time, everything in pure Krishna consciousness. I can give you guarantee. Say, you have to associate with strong devotees, and then you will be able to survive the onslaught of Kali. My mother chants in mind silently. Is it right way of chanting? Best is you can tell her that to chant loudly, because our mind is so talkative. If we chant silently, then we will only hear about mind's voice, not the chanting. So only very advanced people can chant in mind. But it's all right, but you encourage her to chant, and you play Prabhupada Hare Krishna Mahamantra Bhajan, and let her hear. That is better. Was that ghost Sukhdev Goswami? Yes. Sukhdev Goswami was so full of joy in the jungle. He is just jumping from one branch to another branch. He was so happy. Suppose I send you to a jungle, what will happen to you? You will die. Britishers, if someone is charged with treason, Britishers' time, they used to send for Kalapani. Kalapani means they will send a person in an island. In that island, there will be nobody. And there that fellow will die because nobody would be there. But if you send a person like Sukhdev Goswami, he will be very happy there. He will be extremely happy there. Oh, nobody is here to disturb me. I'll be in a Brahma Bhuta state. Right? So you see that how the same verse of 2.69 is so accurate. Next. I read that there is Dibya Yuga Kalpa, an incarnation of Krishna comes once in a Kalpa. Is that true? Does it mean Kalki avatar comes only one time in 71 Dibya Kalpa and establish Satya Yuga? No. Kalki would come at the end of every Kaliyuga. Kaliyuga, first Satya Yuga, then Dwapara Yuga, then Treta Yuga, and then Kaliyuga. At the end of Kaliyuga, every Kaliyuga, Kalki would come, because after Kali, Satya has to start. So Kalki would come every Kaliyuga, whereas Krishna doesn't come every Dwapara Yuga. He comes once in a day of Brahma. That means there are 1,000 Dibya Kalpa in a day of Brahma. And so that is 4.3 billion years. So only once Krishna comes. Swati is saying, Akhaya Nayak, how did Sukadeva attain the state of Brahma Bhuta before birth? How did he attain before birth? He is a liberated soul. A liberated soul is a liberated soul. Any liberated soul is naturally in Brahma Bhuta platform. So he is a liberated soul, and he didn't want to come, or he didn't want to take birth. And then Vyasadeva requested Krishna. So Krishna personally appeared in front of Sukhdev Goswami and told him, I am in charge of you, don't worry, come out. So with that assurance he came out. So he's a liberated soul. Swati, if a person attains the planet of demigods such as Brahmaloka or Chandraloka, is there any possibility that he cultivate Krishna consciousness there and he must return to earth again? Yes, there are two possibilities. One can, because in every planetary system there would be surely pure devotees. Just like yesterday we saw in moon planet, where if you take birth in moon planet, you live there for 3 lakh years. But that 3 lakh years is nothing actually, if you see moon planet. So 3 lakh years you will live there. But if you are very fortunate, then you will meet there a pure devotee and practice pure Krishna consciousness and go back to the spiritual world. Okay. Abhishek Jaiswal, why Sukhdev Maharaj acted as Brahmavadi initially, then a devotee later, though he is eternally a pure devotee? That's a good question. Sukhdev Goswami was a pure devotee because he is the Sukapakhi of Radharani, and hence he is a pure devotee. So this pastime was enacted to explain that devotional service is not meant for those who are sentimentals, sahajas. Devotional service are meant for people who are at the highest realization of the transcendence. Piyush Saikal, we understand that Sukhdev Goswami, 4 Kumaras were all Brahmavadis before they became devotees. Are there any example of Brahmavadis in our Vaishnava literature? No, why we need Brahmavadi, Vaishnava literature? I don't understand what you say, the Brahmavadi. So he's saying, any other examples? Any other? There may be so many examples. Nava Yogendra, you see that they were Brahmavadis in the beginning. They also became pure devotees of Krishna. So there are many examples must be there. I have to meditate on this. We also know that how Narada also graduated through Brahma Bhuta platform before becoming pure devotee. So there are so many, there must be many examples. Saurabh Akshay Kumar, if Bhagavatam is for people like Sukhdev Goswami, then what about us? This fellow was sleeping?
Now he
sir.
before him.
Hare Krishna sir, Dhamma Pranam. Sir, actually, when we were explaining that Atmaram works, one devotee asked me that this is the answer to which question. So I just typed that question for him, but it got typed to the all. That's not a question.
He didn't answer already.
Okay. Saurav Kumar, how to present pastimes to convince the so-called scientific person? They judge everything with material logic. So we mold ourselves or directly speak the pastimes without any consideration. No, we have to make sure whatever we present according to the audience. You cannot go and present the similar narration of the Krishna's pastime to everyone. No. Then what is the need of then the speaker? Speakers are there and they must specialize how to speak to different kind of audience. Scientists would be those who are polluted, their brain as are polluted, they have to be spoken differently, and then those who are not polluted, they have to be spoken differently. Sudhir Jalali Modi, how is that Srila Vyasadeva, how has compiled Srimad Bhagavatam is not on Brahmabhuta platform? Ladies covered their bodies. No, that pastime is simply to make distinction. People must know who is Sukhdev Goswami, and in fact, Vyasadeva wanted a son such that who can, because he already knows, because when Vyasadeva compiled Bhagavatam, he saw Trikalagya, he saw that his son is going to recite, and it will be again recited by Sukhdev Goswami. So his son is the part of the basic scheme. And that is how it is happening. As far as this Lila is concerned, it is simply showing that Sukhdev Goswami is so pure that he has lost the ability to make a discrimination between boy and girl. That means he is beyond the idea of mundane sex. Whereas Vyasadeva is a householder. He has a child. So he has to make a distinction. Although he is a pure devotee, but he has to make a distinction between boy and girl. So it doesn't make Vyasadeva inferior. A Grihastha has to lead a life differently, and a pure brahmachari has to lead a life differently. Everybody has their own ashram laws, and people have to follow. Sir, you talked near-death experience. He told that soul sees its gross body. Does soul see through its subtle body? Yes, very much. Very much. It is easier for the soul to experience the subtle body than the gross body. Anil. Hare Krishna, sir, soul does not experience the pain, happiness, distress that we are experiencing now. Then who is experiencing all this? These are all experienced in the false ego. Subtle body experiences. Abhishek Jaiswal, other prescribed yuga dharma were always difficult, impossible in kaliyuga. The devotees, kya kar rahe bhaiya sir? Though devotees like Dhruva Maharaj were always chanting in other yuga also, why chanting holy name did not become main process as it is the most direct process? No, chanting of the holy name is always the amogha astra for every yuga. But in Kali Yuga, there is no other astra. That means other yugas, you can follow other astra as well. In Satya Yuga, you can follow the astra of meditation, astra of big yajnas in Dvapara, and then in Treta, you can use the astra of temple worship. These are all possibilities. But holy name is always, every yuga, holy name is the most potent weapon. Radhakant Das, in spite of so much effort by devotees, only very few people start practicing Bhagavad Dharma. Even after practicing Bhagavad Dharma, many are attacked by Kali Purusha, either in the form of sense gratification or conflict among devotees. How to understand this? How to overcome this? No, I think we have not really put effort in spreading Krishna consciousness in its pure form. We ourselves are attracted to the pratishtha, wealth. I have given this example. You go to Pondicherry. In Pondicherry, there are so many devotees of Aurovinda, they are living there. None of them have their personal property. But you go to Mayapur and what is it called? Vrindavan. So every XYZ has a big apartment there. So So this is the difference. We have deviated from practicing pure Krishna consciousness the way Prabhupada was spreading the message. We have deviated from that point. Sabya Kapur, temporary enjoyment is like we have supercars, lots of money. So what is temporary sadness and sorrowness? What is temporary sadness and sorrowness? Temporary sadness, sorrowness means you are appearing in exam and you fail. You lose your near and dear ones. You are looking for a job, you are not getting. So these are the miseries of this world. Like COVID pandemic has kept all of you away from playground, away from intermingling. So all these are misery of this world. Miseries of the world of this world is too many to enumerate. There is no mention of other rivers in the world. Is they are not present at that time. Dilip Kumar. No, the rivers that are not holy will have no mention in the literature. So only the holy rivers are mentioned. Holy rivers are those which are connected to Krishna's pastime. Ritu Bhandari, if all the Vedas and Bhagavatam were in Shruti form only before the Upper Yuga, yes, all the Vedas, Vedic literature were in Shruti form. That means they were transmitted from one generation to other generation by hearing. Oral tradition. In India, oral tradition is a very big tradition. Swati Singh, it is also mentioned that Satyuga lasts 17 million years. Treta Yuga 12 million years, Dwapara Yuga 8.6 million years, 0.86 million years, Satya Yuga 1.72 million years, Treta 1.29 million years, and Dwapara 8.86 million years, Kali 0.432 million years. We observe that there is a difference of 432 years among. Is there any spiritual reason behind this particular number? No, that is the scale of degradation. In that scale, the first leg of dharma is broken, and then in that scale, at the end of Satya, one leg will be broken, and after that many period, again another leg will be broken. So like that. So this 432,000 years refer to breaking of one leg of religion. Okay, so I think we should stop here. It's already 10 o'clock. Thank you very much for joining us for hearing Bhagavatam. I hope you are enjoying, appreciating Bhagavatam, and we'll continue from text 5. Hare Krishna.